Hello and welcome. In this lesson, we will get started by reviewing the pre-work activities required for training program implementation. Advanced slide here. So pre-work is not an official step in the implementation process, but it is a necessary step that will serve as an input into other areas within the project or program. Think of pre-work as the information gathering stage where you're reviewing documents and other collateral that will position you and your team to ask the right questions and stand the project up for success. So the main focus of pre-work, again, is to stand the project up for success. And how you do this is by reviewing the lessons learned, the project charter, general requirements, needs and gaps, and any other additional resources that are made available to you. Now, if you've done an implementation or run a project in the past, odds are that you have run into some issues, some areas that might have caused you grief. So hopefully in those scenarios, you and your team documented those issues or those aha moments for use in your current project. Lessons learned from other training implementations will help you to avoid making the same mistakes. It will help save you time and possibly money. So it is pretty important to kind of review what some of those lessons learned were and then apply them to your current project. We will make it a point to document lessons learned as a final step in the course. As with pre-work, documenting lessons learned is not an actual step, but more of a way to make sure things run smoothly during the implementation process. So in this stage, you'll want to obtain the project charter, or possibly you might be the person who is actually developing the project charter. If you are in an organization that is not fully equipped or functioning as a project management organization, you may not have a formal process. So project charters are more in line with the PMBOK guide of formal processes. And again, you may not have one in place, so you might be the person identified to create that document. Now, the purpose of the project charter is that it outlines the purpose and the objectives and scope of the project. And the purpose of the project charter is to provide an understanding of the project and the reason it's being conducted and its justification. To establish early on in the project the general scope, and then lastly to establish the project manager and his or her authority level. Now, another step or part of the pre-work process or stage will be identifying key stakeholders. Um, they will tell you who should be involved, or your key stakeholders are those that should be involved in a decision-making process. So they can affect or be affected by the organization's actions, objectives, and policies. Some examples of key stakeholders are creditors, directors, employees, government and its agencies, owners, stakeholders, suppliers, unions, and the community from which the business draws its resources. So anyone who could be have an impact or be impacted by the project are those that you'll want to document. We'll have a stakeholder template that you can utilize as part of this course. So make sure you download the template, and you'll again want to document the list and to tell you what their role is, or you would want to identify what their role is in the project. Get familiar with the requirements. So review key documentation, including policies, regulatory documents, procedures, program descriptions, other documents cited as resources for training. So unless you are the subject matter expert for your implementation, you will have to do a great deal of groundwork and information gathering to understand the training requirements, well as the training needs based on those requirements. And to gain a better understanding, these are some of the collateral you'll want to review just to make sure that you and your team are prepared to have those conversations with those business units. Project objective and scope. So the objective of the project should clearly state, or should be clearly stated, and contain a measure of how to assess whether they have been achieved. It should be realistic, include objectives. So if you're familiar with developing goals, you'll recognize some of this area here, your SMART goals. So they need to be specific, measurable, acceptable to the stakeholders, realistic given the project constraints, and time-based. So it gives you a complete framework as to how you will accomplish the goals or the objectives and scope of your project. Determine basic implementation needs and gaps. So basic training needs cover areas like training location, the facilities, need for travel, and other accommodations. So just some of the really high level basics that you'll want to uncover and include as you're taking notes through in this like pre-work stage. You'll do a more in-depth analysis when you get to the training plan or implementation plan development, but in this initial stage is just to get an idea of some of the areas that you're working with and maybe some of the gaps that you are facing. In summary, pre-work is an input to other implementation steps. So again, it's not like an official step, but it is really important that you get your handle around what it is the project is intending to accomplish or what the training program is intending to accomplish. So um, you'll want to use the templates provided in this course to help you along the way. So there's quite a few templates that I've developed and provided as part of this course that are included with your purchase. And as we move forward and as more, suggestions and needs come up, I mean, I can develop additional templates based on need as well. Some of the templates I have are the stakeholder template, the audience list, and then the project charter template as well. Let's move on to the next lesson.